Hello and welcome to the chesscreator.com YouTube video channel. In today's video I'm pleased to continue with my series of lectures on the London system. In this video I'm going to present another trap. In my last two videos we've seen first how to win a pawn in the King's Indian defence. Then we've seen how to potentially win Black's queen also in the King's Indian defence. These two traps are very specific in terms of they require the memorization of certain opening moves. In some ways the video today is different from this. This is more about looking for a particular pattern that can arise in Black's piece formation and then seeking to deliberately provoke a weakness, and as we'll see shortly, this weakness will lead to a very quick and easy victory for White. So let's take a look at the position on the board. To some extent the order of the opening moves are irrelevant for the purpose of this video. Here we're looking for a very specific set of things to arise in terms of Black's position. If we look at Black's king side, we can see that to some extent it's a mirror image of White's London formation, insofar as Black has a knight on f6 and a light square bishop on f5. In addition to this, Black has their other knight posted on c6, and they've also played e6. The reason this is important is that once the light square bishop is outside of the pawn chain, it can no longer be moved to d7 to break any future pins or threats of pins. So, as I said, this trapping line is more about trying to provoke weaknesses from your opponent. Of course, not every opponent will comply, but anyway, here as White we play Queen b3. And the reason for this is that Black has played their light square bishop away from the protection of b7, outside of the pawn chain to f5, and as a result of this we can threaten to capture the b7 pawn. Actually, this is not really the purpose of Queen b3. The move that we're seeking to provoke here is the seemingly innocent response b6, and that should really be b6 question mark. From this point on, there really is very little Black can do to hold the game. So why is that? Well, now we can take full advantage of Black playing their dark square bishop outside the pawn chain, insofar as their knight on c6 is now extremely vulnerable to bishop b5, which pins the knight to the king. And here from this point Black really has very little hope of holding out for much more than a few moves. I've had players resign immediately when being faced with this position. So let's quickly go through some of the options for Black. If Black tries to hold the knight by playing Queen d7, then knight e5, and this just really exacerbates Black's problems. If they try and play the only other move which gives them hope of trying to hold the knight, it actually fails, because Queen d6 and White can play bishop takes c6 with check, and obviously Black cannot recapture losing their queen, and so in that line they actually lose knight and rook, forcing an almost instantaneous resignation every time. So let's go back and see what other options black may have. Well, perhaps they can try to just sacrifice the knight, playing knight d7, in effect breaking the pin by sacrificing the knight instead of losing knight and rook. Well, this really doesn't fare much better. After bishop takes c6, attacking the knight, rook moves perhaps to b8, then knight e5, intending queen b5, really renews the impact and the threat of winning more material through this very unfortunate pin. So, as I said before, you're really here looking for a pattern of events. Let's just rewind the position one more time and take a look at what kind of pattern we're looking for. Here we're really looking for games where black has mirrored white in terms of a London system style opening, but with colours reversed. We're looking specifically for when they've played an early bishop f5 with e6, which prevents the bishop retreating to d6 to break any future pins. We're also looking for the knight to be played onto c6, and as a result of these early development moves, almost always white will have not developed their dark square bishop, which obviously prevents them castling, which is another major factor of this trap. So once again, in patterns like this, we're looking to play queen b3, hoping to provoke b6, after which it's very, very difficult for black to hold the position. So once again, I hope this is another useful video on the London system. If you found the video helpful, please consider subscribing, and as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks very much for your time.